Hello everybody, Joe Bag Donuts here, and welcome back for another episode of One. Last time, our boy Kohei, he was kind of being a bit of a sussy baka, but I feel like he's kind of pulled his head out of his ass, but, honestly, if Nagamori just, wants to fuck off and never talk to him again, that's fine, too. Well, haha, the consequences of my own actions and all that, but, As I say, it be how it be, Well, it's a little late in the day. Well, it's like 11 a.m., but, that's late for me. Woke up late last night, past midnight, so, cold, very cold outside last night. It was dropped down to the 30s, pretty much. And I still had my window AC unit in, down in my sunroom where I record, so it was very chilly in here. So I have my heater going on in my house. My house is very old and doesn't have central heating, so in the middle of my floor, between the living room and the dining room, there's just a giant grate. And when you turn on the heat, it fires up and starts pumping out enough heat to, warm up the whole house, except for the rooms upstairs, because the way the stairwell is, the air doesn't really flow up there very good. But that's why I have a heated blanket in my bedroom and a kotatsu in the other room. But anyway, if for some reason I just start mumbling and you hear my head thump off my desk, it's probably because I am dying of carbon monoxide poisoning, because I do not trust that heater. Whenever I turn it on after it's been off for a while, it sets off all the smoke detectors on the first floor, but that's mainly just because it's burning all the dust that's settled in there for the past 8 months. But you can never be too careful. See, it's already affecting me. My ability to form coherent thoughts and speech patterns isn't because I'm a very uneloquent speaker. It's the chemicals in the air, man. Yeah. We might have an H scene this episode. It might be next episode. We might be done this episode. I don't know, man. This is I was about to say, Nagamori's route is this the start of the route? Or was that, the common route? Or are we on the route? Is the route almost over? I don't know, man. This is a fucking weird route. And I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's just odd because of our main character, because he's very odd. The way he really tries to push people away emotionally that try to get close to him makes me think of my own self-destructive characteristics and interpersonal relationships, and I really don't like that. And this game's making me self-reflect and look inward. I don't like that. That's the whole reason I do this thing, is for escapism. Please don't make me do introspective analysis on myself. Thank you. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I haven't had coffee. I haven't had breakfast or lunch, whatever. Brunch. Brunch actually sounds good today. I'll have to see what's open around. But beside the point, it's been almost 4 minutes of me fucking rambling to myself. Good thing all my windows are closed and my neighbors can't see me. Otherwise, they think I'd be fucking crazy. Anyway, where were we? Day of the opening ceremony. Here I stand on this first day, waiting. Hey, morning. What, were you preparing yourself that, you were just getting gaslit again and we weren't going to be here? As I expected, Nagamori seems unable to hide her surprise. Waiting, of course. Yes, for you. Yeah, it's first. Did it cause you any trouble? Also, are we just not gonna mention, the random dude who I can only imply was just fucking beating his meat in the classroom, and he, left her with him, and he's like, bye! It implied, that person might be like a classmate. It's like, and you guys are just gonna go back to class and just gonna pretend that didn't happen, huh? Okay. Oh, that's good to hear.
嬉しかったよ。
Don't repeat yourself, you idiot.
照れてる？
No.
そうかな？
Our conversations make me feel itchy. Every movement and gesture of hers, every reaction, it all feels fresh and new to me. Let's go. Can I hold your hand? While she's absorbed in telling a story, I wait for an opening and then quickly grab her hand from
そ
behind.
れでね。
What's wrong? I'm such an embarrassing guy. Nagamori's obvious surprise aside, what am I doing stuttering while trying to pretend nothing's happening? So, what happened to that friend of yours?
その、なんだっけ？
Go on.
忘れちゃった。
I see. Ooh, that's a nice fucking sprite. I like that one. Soul. Thanks to me, we're now walking along silently, hand in hand. This is awkward. Too awkward. You're getting sweaty hands, my guy, in December? Oh, it's gonna get fucking clammy in an instant. I had no idea that walking shoulder to shoulder with our hands held like this would be so embarrassing. More than anything, I feel ticklish from the fact that Nagamori is holding my hand extra tightly so it won't come loose as it sways. What is it? What's wrong?
別に。
I'm hungry. Trying to gloss over our embarrassment, we continue our ambiguous exchange as we walk. It's after class. Finishing my packing, I look around the classroom. There's no sign of Nagamori. Thinking that she might have gone to club activities, I leave the classroom, only to find her waiting for me in the corridor. Oh, so there you are. You could have just come over to my desk like you always do.
なんだか照れくさいよ。
Really? Personally, I think it's a lot more embarrassing this way.
うん、そうかもね。でも、それもまたいいよ。
Well, that's true. The two of us are completely at peace. So, yeah, we're just gonna pretend that whole, like, 2 weeks of you being a fucking crazy person just didn't happen. The way back. I feel as though I'm looking at the way back. The what?
そう。
Yes, the day when I left for a place far away. The sun had set, and when I looked up, there was a sky unlike the one I saw every day. A sky which led towards a life going in a different direction. That day, I left for a place far away, and as a result, I could no longer return to the place I longed for. I crossed the ocean and settled in an unfamiliar town. And before I knew it, I had grown up. Thinking of the town where I was born and spent my youth, it's very sad. Because that's the place where true warmth can be found. Home is where the heart is.
それは、今のあなたのことなのかな。
Is that how it sounded? You know, I tried my hardest up until the very end. Back then, I really tried hard, wishing to stay in my city. But in doing so, I didn't mean to... What? Repudiate? This world? I have no idea what that word means. Google, save me. Be my dictionary. Repudiate? What? Oh, I spelt it wrong. It would probably help if I spelt it right. What is this word? What's the pronunciation? Repudiate. Refuse to accept or be associated with. You could have just said accept, man. You didn't need to break out the thesaurus for that one. I felt that just maybe, having accepted the existence of this world, I could still remain in my own. But it was no good.
そんなことわざわざ言ってほしくないよ。
It's just that I wanted to know. Whether back then I could have only tried harder, I could have succeeded in binding myself to that place.
どうして？
It's not a question of whether I would have come here if I could have avoided it. Just that if it had been possible, it's frustrating to think how frail my bonds with everyone else must have been. What do you think?
多分無理だったと思うよ。この世界はあなたの中で始まっていたんだから。
Uh-huh. I thought as much.
うん。
But impossible as that may have been, maybe I could have still ended this world. No, maybe I still can.
この世界は終わらないよ。だってすでに終わっているんだから。
Too deep for me, bro. It's really hard to retain that information like in my brain. It just comes in and it's just so abstract and we have no ground to base it off of, so it's just like, what? As soon as it's over, it's just like whoosh, gone. Fucking evaporated from my brain like the morning dew. As always, is the sound of the curtain being drawn back, letting in sunlight that shoots through to the back of my eyes.
ほら、起きなさいよ。まったく、心を入れ替えたのかと思えばすぐこれだもの。じゃあね。
What was that? Noticing a disgusting sensation on my cheek, I unwittingly sprang up.
起きた。
What did you just do?
さあ、なんでしょう。
Don't tell me that was a kiss.
ピンポーン。
I immediately fall asleep again.
バカ、もうしないよ。
In that case, I'm not gonna wake up.
起きてるよ。
Sleep talking.
じゃあ、もう一回だけだよ。
You gonna be super smooth, my guy, and like turn over at the last moment, mwah. You know, give her a little peck on the lips. I've changed my mind. Ah, fucking coward. Thwomp. I suddenly sit up with the result that Nagamori's face collides with the pillow. Okay, that's funny too. What are you doing?
公平が急に毒からだよ。
Talk about embarrassing. You try to kiss someone and then they avoid it? And then they avoid you?
そんなこと言わないでよ。ほんと恥ずかしいよ。
If I go around and tell everyone else, they'll all be shocked. I bet you look pretty stupid.
ああ、もう。だったら意地でもしてやるもん。
Don't come any closer, you idiot. Nagamori leaps up onto the bed, pushing the back of my head into the wall with a thud. That hurt, you idiot. What? Nagamori's face is right in front of mine. Hey. Weren't you determined to finish that kiss?
いいの。
What do you think I'm waiting for?
やっぱやめ。
Tired of waiting, I hold her head from behind and pull her towards me. Yeah, look at that faceless fucking 90s visual novel protagonist. His ear is kind of low down on his jawline, though. That's kind of odd. And Nagamori doesn't even have ears, which is extra odd. But then again, these aren't people. They're weird freak mutant anime characters. Our teeth softly collide. Ugh. I don't like I have sensitive teeth, so the thought of smashing your teeth together is very, very uncomfortable for me. But nonetheless, it's still a kiss. So how did that happen? Like, did you like fucking both kiss like when you were grimacing, like gritting your teeth? I kissed with my lips pressed against hers. A nostalgic taste and smell. I let go, but Nagamori's lips linger for a little longer. My head's still pinned to the wall behind me, so I can't pull away either. You could throw yourself to the side and off the bed. You gonna breathe? There you go. Finally, she pulls her mouth away. God, that's such a good sprite. She looks cute with her cheeks colored crimson like that. I think I'll tease her a little. Sure took your time.
私
Yeah.
嘘だ公平が
I couldn't even move.
時間もうこんな時間だよ
You're clearly evading the question.
ほらカバンと制服
She hurries me on, trying to hide her embarrassment. I'll be sure to give you a good grilling over this later. Accepting my bag and uniform, I leave the room with that parting shot. I get the feeling that I can still smell her scent just below my nose.
ああものすごい時間だよ
I know. Who would have thought that it was all because you got absorbed with kissing me?
だから違うってば公平だって
You were pinning me down so I couldn't even move, you idiot.
そんなことないもん
Ugh, maybe I've teased her a little too much. Speaking of which, are you busy this afternoon?
わかんないけどもしかしたら部活あるかも
I see. I guess it's no good then.
どうして
Oh, I was just thinking we could go somewhere.
二人で
Yeah.
行きたいよ私
But you don't know if you can, right?
もう一回帰りに言うよ
Alright. Whew, that's it for another day. For some reason, the days seem to be passing by really quickly lately. Maybe it's because I'm feeling fulfilled. See you later, Nanase. Picking up my bag, I get up in one smooth motion.
はいはいさようなら公平
How's it looking?
一応部活の方で集合かかってるんだけど早く終わるって
Great. Then we'll go on ahead with it.
じゃあどうしよう公平一度帰る私も帰ると思うし
Yeah, let's decide on a meeting spot. The park on the hill at 1:30.
分かった
Well, see you later then. Seeing her off as she disappears towards her club, I head for the stairs in the opposite direction. Pulling on my shoes, I leave the relatively deserted entrance hall. It's kind of warm outside, and there's no wind. Unusual weather for this season. Amidst the warm weather, I head for the shopping district. Arriving outside a fancy shop, I stand outside the door. Not the sort of place a guy could easily enter by himself. I mean, he could, just stop being self-conscious about it. After spending a whole 10 minutes worrying, I realize that it's even more embarrassing to be standing here outside the shop. Stealing my determination, I open the door. Look at these. Anything we recognize? Not in particular. As expected, the inside of the shop is buried in a headache-inducing array of pink things and round things. Feeling a fever coming on, I peruse the shop's fancy wares. I mean, yeah, man, super fancy, fucking 350 yen. Okay. I'm looking for a present for Nagamori. It'll never get me to say it out loud, but I intend for today to be a redo of Christmas. That's why I want to be heading towards our meeting place with a present in hand and wearing nice clothes instead of my uniform. But just sort of what's, but just what, let's try that again. But just what sort of present would she be happy to receive? I don't know, probably anything from you. In any case, I've never understood the taste of girls who are happy to receive flowers or stuffed toys. So, it only leads to disaster if I were to pick something like that. Actually, I'm always being told off by Nagamori about how poor my taste is when it comes to these things. Given the circumstances, maybe I should turn my thinking upside down and pick something I think is in bad taste. Like that weird sloth creature there. At least I think it's a sloth. I honestly don't know. It's kind of horrifying. It sounds right in theory, but I'm not sure anyone will want something everyone thinks is in bad taste. For example, I think this real... What? What? What is that? F-A-E-C-E-S? What?
Feces.
Oh, it's a spelling of feces. Okay. Ugh, fucking Aussies. I think this real feces chocolate set in front of me now is in terrible taste, but what would Nagamori think? I honestly thought it was feces, but the A in front of there threw me off. It made me think it was like some weird fucking French term, like a fancy chocolate set. But no. Then again, it could be extra fancy, for the gag value, artistic, the artistry required to make the chocolate look like shit. Nagamori, here, it's a present for you.
開けてもいい？
Sure, go ahead. Rip.
わー、リアルうんこチョコ詰め合わせだ。激かわいい。すんごく欲しかったんだ、これ。
Really? That's good to hear.
バリバリ、もぐもぐ。このリアルうんこチョコ、とっても美味しいよ。
Yeah, I heard the unko in there, so yeah, feces. Ha 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 ha! No need to rush. There's plenty of real feces chocolate to go around. That's about the most horrible conversation I can imagine. Even if she is happy, I don't think I could stand to repeatedly hear real feces like that. Besides, Nagamori isn't the kind of airhead who'd rejoice by saying something like, mega cute! Ah, damn it. What should I pick? As I'm floundering about, a shop assistant sees me with an anguished expression on my face and comes by to offer his unneeded help.
彼女にプレゼントですか?
Yes, save me. Yes. Yes. I become the sort of person who can't decisively say no in situations like this.
何か具体的にお探しのものがありますか?
Yes.
どのようなもの?
If I could answer that, I'd already have decided. Something that would make a girl happy. Immediately, I regret having spoken without thinking. That's just the same as saying I haven't decided.
するとやはりぬいぐるみですね。こちらなどは人気の商品となっておりますが。
The assistant pushes the conversation onward, as if he had been waiting for me to say that. Ah, damn it. At this rate, it won't be something I've chosen, it'll be something this assistant chooses. All I'd be doing is paying for
キャ
it.
ラクターものとか動物とか相手のご趣味は?
Ah, that's right. She likes cats in all shapes and forms. She's also the reigning champion of taking in stray cats, having picked up cats for 3 days in a row. Didn't know that. Wait, is that a fucking Pikachu? Like in the pile on the right. Oh my god. How did I miss that earlier? Yeah, that's just... I was about to say, no, it's too fat. But no, this game came out in 98. Fat Pikachu. Fat Pikachu. It's been so long. I have... Well, I was about to say, I don't have the cards anymore. I gave all my old Pokemon cards to my nephew. Mainly because they were just piles and piles of, oh, do you want fucking 20 million jungle set Magikarps? Here you go. I made sure to look through them before I forked them over. The only interesting one I found was I had a misprint Vaporeon, which is somewhere I don't think I have it with me. I think I like left it in my safe back home at my parents' place. I'll actually have to look for that when I go home for the holidays. Naturally, all three are still at her house. Given that, I'll choose this! I thrust my arm out in the direction of what looks like the cat shelf. Plucking one off the shelf, I stick it in the assistant's face. I'll have this, please! Blech. Any way you look at it, this is a rabbit.
はい、かしこまりました。
I mean, it's cute. I'm not that big a fan of like this style of plush, like that kind of material that it's like made out of. But to each their own. Hold on for a second. The bunny passes into the hands of the assistant, who carries it away to the register. Wait, that's...
消費税入れまして9240円となります。
Oof! Ugh, and it's expensive too. I can only watch on, dumbfounded, as the highly priced rabbit is skillfully wrapped
どう
up.
ぞ。
I accept the splendidly wrapped rabbit along with my change. Goodbye, Benjamin. On the way out, I'll have to resist the urge to kick down a shelf lined with an ominous array of identical rabbits. Amongst them, I discover an instruction booklet for the built-in voice recorder, complete with a viciously awful sales pitch. I talk boing. I'm gonna assume that was a pion there at the end. I wonder how it was no wonder it was so expensive. Anyhow, I've managed to acquire a present. And regardless of whether Nagamori will be happy to receive it, it's something I chose myself. That's why I got a feeling that it's fine. Moreover, I feel safe in knowing that Nagamori will probably be happy with any present, so long as it's for me. I can go on and give her this rabbit with confidence. Besides, this present just happens to have a feature that'll allow it to become truly unique. I'll be sure to make good use of that. As usual, there's no sign of Yukiko-san, who I completely forgot existed, when I arrive home. All I find is a simple lunch prepared in the kitchen. I put it away in the fridge, since I want to keep my stomach empty for lunch with Nagamori. Don't talk about food I haven't eaten. Returning to my room, I take off my uniform and place it on the chair with my bag like always. Sitting down on the bed, I unwrap the present that I've just bought. If I wrap it up again in the same way afterwards, I'm sure she won't be able to tell it's been opened. Now that I examine it closely like this, I get the feeling that it's not very tasteful after all. But just wait, I'm about to blow life right into you right now. What? I'm about to blow life into you right now. Then you'll convey my feelings to that idiot Nagamori. First of all, though, I've got to decide on a name. Now then, what should I call him? Buniyama Bunio. Buniyama Bunio. Incidentally, the Buni is from bunny. Yes. Great. It's nice and to the point. Just my kind of name. I spent a while absorbed in working out how to record my voice through trial and error. By the time I do, the clock is already past 1:30. I'm in a pinch! Roughly rewrapping Buniyama Bunio, I quickly begin to change in my clothes. Don't often meet Nagamori in my casual clothes, so I take care to dress as neatly as possible. After I'm done, I rapidly descend the stairs as if I'm falling before heading into the hallway. Instead of the sneakers I wear to school, I'll be wearing leather shoes. Ooh, fucking fancy. Taking them out from the shoe shelf, I quickly pull them on and leave the house while still treading on their heels. Oh god, don't do that. That's how you fucking ruin your good shoes. One thing I can recommend to everyone at home is buy a shoehorn. I know it's a really old person thing to have, but like, if you're the kind of person like me who, like my running shoes, I never undo the laces. I just step down on the heel and slide my feet out. And when I get them in, I just wiggle them in. So, having a shoehorn, it'll stop the back from like losing its structural integrity. Turning right at the junction, where I usually go straight, I take the route usually reserved for when I'm late and desperate. 150. As usual, I'm keeping her waiting. Dashing up the heart-burstingly long stone steps, I run into the park on the hill where I had agreed to meet. What kind of park is this? Like, I get the fountain, but what the fuck's on the stairs? Undoing one of the buttons on my collar, I regain my breath. Damn it. I wonder if my hair's all messed up now. Yes! Still, I don't have a mirror with me, so I simply continue looking for Nagamori in my current state. I can't see her. There's no sign of anyone except a senior citizen walking with their dog along the path that goes around the park. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't have bothered hurrying. Nagamori must be running late too. Knowing her, she probably took the fact that I'd be 30 minutes late into account from the very start. Could that be why? If so, she's become pretty shameless. I decided to sit down at the edge of the fountain and wait. Instead of a young man waiting while all dressed up with what's clearly a present in his hands isn't what you'd call cool. Hurry up and get here, Nagamori. I whisper on the inside as I wait for her. I glance at my watch. 2:30. She's already an hour late. I'll have to tease her a bit when she arrives. I check my watch. 3 o'clock. Damn it. I'm hungry. Nagamori. It's already time for an afternoon snack. I check my watch. 4 o'clock. Hey, our lunch is about to turn into a dinner. And I'd come out here planning to eat both. At this rate, I'll have to make her accompany me to supper, too. Something drips onto my nose. I look up at the sky. As I do, while the same thing falls onto my forehead and cheeks. Rain, huh? I didn't bring an umbrella. That idiot Nagamori. But she probably waited just like this for me, too, on that day. Knowing her, I'm sure she just kept waiting like an idiot. That idiot was probably fine with waiting 2 or even 3 hours. I'm sure she waited, dressed up just like I am today with a big present in her arms. That's why I'll wait too. She may be an idiot, but so am I. Just sitting here, waiting on and on. Man, imagine if cell phones existed and you could just like text or call her and be like, hey, you okay? What is it? I heard someone say this and they're extremely right. Like 90% of like Friends episodes, the plot would just be resolved if the characters had a cell phone and just could send a quick text. The 90s was an awful time to be alive. I'm so glad I grew up in the 2000s in the shadow of 9/11 and the war on terrorism and No Child Left Behind and all the great things that come with being born in the mid-90s and the war on drugs. Man, my childhood was great. Nothing bad ever happens. Before I know it, the shower has turned into a downpour. I sit huddled over, just trying to keep the present from getting wet. Oh, it sure is cold. Hurry up and come, Nagamori. I'm hungry and soaked through to my underwear. Achoo! Before I know it, the ground is right in front of me. I must have fallen over. Damn it. Wrapping on the present is gonna get wet. Oh, never mind. This is your own fault, Nagamori. It isn't until past 6 that Nagamori finds me slumped over on the ground. Or so I'm told. Oh, you idiot. I will only be able to make dinner. Is apparently what I muttered while delirious. Honestly, I'm surprised. Because I can barely move my body. Every joint in my body is squeaking in dull pain. I can't even sit up like this. But the last thing I want to do is take the day off from school. But if I don't go to school, I can't meet Nagamori, and I don't want to spend too long without seeing her. I'll just force myself to go. I fall, out of bed and lie there unmoving. There's a ringing resonance in my head, and the world keeps swaying. Sounds like vertigo. The blurry world begins to lighten up before my eyes. That's my own room. And Nagamori's beside me. What's she doing here? She should be at school. There's no way she could be in a place like this. Is this a dream?
浩平、気がついた。
Is she speaking?
もうびっくりしたんだから。床の上で倒れてるんだもの。
Nagamori from my dreams seems so beautiful. Why does she look so pretty? You look beautiful. Hey, Nagamori. I push the hoarse words from my throat. Nagamori, you're beautiful.
何言ってんの？こんな時に。
Huh? Isn't this a dream? If not, then I just said something pretty embarrassing.
すごい熱があったんだよ。だいぶ下がったみたいだけど。
Nagamori's face draws near. Sliding her hand under somewhere she's placed... What? Sliding her hand under something she's placed on my forehead, she gauges my temperature. The sensation of her hand is pleasant.
下がってはいるみたいだけど、まだまだあるね。
The fever must be dulling my thought processes. I'm thinking thoughts that I usually never would. No, that's not it. It's not that I usually wouldn't think of them. I wouldn't ever think of such things outside of a situation like this. Hey, Nagamori? Can I kiss you? Nagamori looks flustered. She really is cute.
ダメだよ。浩平、病人なんだから。
Yeah, you're fucking gross. Well, I think I'd feel better if I could kiss you.
嘘だ。
Yeah, it's true. She fidgets as her face begins to turn red. I've said it before, but she really is cute.
じゃあ、一回だけだよ。
Yeah. Placing her hand on my pillow, she leans over. Just as her face occupies my entire field of vision, I place my hand around the back of her head. Our lips merge seamlessly. I continue to hold her to me without letting go.
浩平、ダメだって。
At first, she struggles and tries to escape, but it isn't long before she relaxes. She turns her head so as if to better fit her mouth to mine. Our lips sink even deeper together. I draw her lips into my mouth, trying to taste them. Just like full-on, like, weird, but okay, my guy. For a while, I savor their softness. I knew it. They tasted like milk, because it's all you drink. Ew?
バカ。
Milk? Oh, fuck. Now that I'm thinking milk, all I can think of is pilk. She makes me think of Neko Arc. No! No! The brain worms. Then I pull Nagamori's entire body onto the bed.
浩平、
What are we gonna do on the bed, Pomf? I want to test myself. It hurts, but there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. My brain just registered the words that appeared. But even like this, I want to see just how much I can love Nagamori. Oh, am I gonna have to do some editing? Is it the fever that's making me think this way? No, my mind is calm and rational. Pushing her down into the bed, I move to cover her body.
浩平、起きたりしちゃダメだって。
That's alright, I'll do my best.
何を？
He's gonna plank, and for the vine. He's gonna do it for the vine. Yeah, you guys remember Vine, right? I'm not old. It's the kids who are wrong and have bad taste in new media. I move to strip away her uniform. Yeah, here we go. We in there, boys. Placing her hands over her chest, she tries to resist me. I also have to overcome that resistance. It's the only way that I can confirm to myself that I love her. Sure about that, Chief? I feel like there's other ways you can go about that. Pushing her arms above her head, I fold away her cardigan to reveal the underwear that contains her curves. Hey, there we go. Haha, looks like I'll be throwing up a cut here, and the rest of this will be up on Mega. So you know, click that link down below, and cut. Wow, look at that! Crazy. Only like 10 minutes. Amazing. Spectacular. And it wasn't fucking cringy or super weird. It was only a little weird, especially like coming off a moon where like all the sex scenes were like really uncomfortable. As expected, after straining myself, my fever goes back up, and I remain unable to move the next day too.
Kohei?
Nagamori sticks her head out from the half-open door.
私学校行くからね。ちゃんと養生してなさいよ。
I give her a clearly dissatisfied look.
ダメだって、そんな顔しても。またkohei、エッチなこと考え出すんだもん。
I don't think I've ever actually been like had a fever so bad that I like was actually bedridden and couldn't move. Probably the worst I had was like my junior year of high school. I caught like norovirus, which during the night it was literally at least once every 5 minutes I'd have to get up to go puke, and I like pulled the muscles in my back, and that night was a pure hell on earth. I was running a super high fever. The exhaustion from not being able to sleep and being sick and having to go fucking heave for every few minutes, only going back to lie down to get a couple minutes rest before having to get up and do it again. That was like the only time I remember actually having like fever dreams, because like I wasn't fully going to sleep. I was just more like slipping in and out of consciousness in a like not fully coherent state, but I was still able to like get up and move around. Like actually being like stuck in bed like with fatigue is, I don't think I've ever actually experienced that. Shake shake.
ダメ。まずはちゃんと元気になんないと。ね。
Ugh. I've only just realized how my voice won't
じゃあ
work.
ね。また帰り寄るから。
If you're that sick, go to the doctor. Especially in Japan, you got fucking national health care. Just go. Get an IV drip and fucking be good to go, my guy. Nagamori's face disappears, followed by the thump of the door closing. First, you gotta get better, huh? I'm a fucking psychopath, and I actually like getting IV drips and how cold it makes me. One, because I run hot, and two, because usually when I have to go get them, it's because, you know, I'm sick, and it's the only hydration I'm getting, and usually if you go to the good doctor, they'll put the medicine in the IV too, so double nice. She's got a point there. I'll try to spend today recovering. I want to be well again so that I can play some more with Nagamori. I close my hot, fevered eyelids. As always, it's the sound of the current being drawn back, letting in sunlight that shoots through to the back of my eyes.
浩平、おはよう。
I hear a whisper-like voice by my ear. Is it morning?
熱は下がったみたいだよ。動ける？
Let's see. Yeah, probably. I try sitting up for the first time in a long while. It feels a little strange since I've just recovered from illness, but otherwise, there's nothing to complain about.
学校行く？
Yeah, I'll go.
じゃあまだ早いからシャワー浴びてくればいいんじゃないかな。
Okay, I'll do that.
先降りてお湯にしとくからすぐ来てよ。
Alright, thanks.
そのまま寝たりしたらダメだよ。
Don't worry. Even I'm not going to sleep for longer than this. Giving my dully throbbing head a couple of shakes, I climb out of bed. Must be because of my youth. I've made a comfortable recovery. Taking the bag and uniform from my chair into my arms, I follow Nagamori downstairs.
もうお湯になってると思うから。
Ugh,
どうしたの？
I can't move my arm. Must be an after effect from when I was sick. What? Like, what do you mean you can't move your arm?
病院連れて行こうか？
Yeah? No, there's no need for that. It just feels a little strange.
病院に行くまでもなく、一人で体が洗えないような微妙な後遺症なんだよね、それって。
What are you, some kind of esper whose powers only work on
わ
me?
かるよ。長いこと一緒にいるんだもん。
In that case, you may as well just wash my body for me anyway.
そんな仲になった覚えないもん。
Fine, fine. I'll just go and shower all by my lonely self, even though I just recovered from being sick.
本当に辛いんだったら、ちょっとは手伝ってあげるけど。
Really?
でも、パンツ脱がないで入ってよね。
That's disgusting, you idiot. There's no way I'm going in there dressed like that.
じゃ、一人で頑張ってよね。
Yeah. Grabbing my change of clothes, I head into the bathroom. A thought occurs to me after I've taken my clothes off. I haven't had a bath since I slept with Nagamori. Ew! Oh god, gross. Like that's like the first thing you do is like you fucking go and wash your dick off in the sink. What? Oh, fuck, that's nasty. Which means that her juices are still. The ridiculous thought is enough to bring me standing to attention. Ew, no, that's fucking disgusting. Ugh, just what am I doing? I'll just quickly wash it off. Phew, that was a nice shower. I returned to the living room, dressed only in my underwear and t-shirt.
さっぱりした？
Yeah, you know, I was so dirty that the water coming off me was completely black.
またバカなこと言って。
So, are we still okay for time?
そんなにゆっくりしてられないけど、まだ大丈夫だよ。
Well, there's this batting center I've been wanting to go to. Let's stop by
回
there.
復しすぎ。
Telling my usual jokes just to make her sigh, I head over to change into my uniform.
朝食はちょっとは食べていきなよ。
Yeah, you're right. Dragging my not quite on slacks, what? Dragging my not quite on slacks by the hem, I head for the kitchen. Like, dragging them on the floor? Or like... Huh?
どうしたの？
There's no breakfast there. Suddenly, I'm assaulted by a strange feeling. Something that should be there isn't. My body interprets it in a form of a surreal uneasiness. Is this really warrant a reaction like that? That's just one unprepared breakfast. Yukiko-san is a busy person. This is hardly something to question her over. Also, kind of weird that we didn't see hide nor hair of her as you were bedridden for days, apparently. So just, what is this uncomfortable feeling? I don't really know. Okay, I'm all set. Let's go, Nagamori. With nothing to eat, I decided to just skip breakfast. Nah, I gotta eat something. Even just like grab some bread and fucking throw some jam on it. Don't even toast it.
はいはい。
She follows behind me as I lead the way.
そういえばさ、プレゼントありがとね。かわいいウサギさん。
Ah, I was wondering where that went. Did you take it?
もらっちゃダメだったの？
It's mine. It's an embarrassing story, but I bought it on a whim.
もう嘘ばっか。
Well, if you're happy with something like that, I'll give it to you.
あんなのってすごく可愛くて気に入ったよ、私。
I see. Well, good for you.
嬉しかったよ。クリスマスプレゼントだよね。
Yeah, I guess.
じゃあ私もお返し。
With a soft bump, she sticks something into my stomach. What's this? I accept them to discover that they're gloves. They're probably hand woven. Wow.
もう時期過ぎちゃったけどね。私のとお揃いだったんだよ。
It's January. The season has not passed. Or do you mean like the season for gift giving being Christmas? What? They're initialed.
嫌がらせみたいなもんだよ。それつけて歩ける？
Oh, you idiot. Think something like that'll stop me? I put them on then and there. Hey, they feel nice.
本当に？よかった。
Now, are they mittens or are they gloves? Very important distinction here. Do you have free range of motion in all 4 fingers, or are you just like thumb and one big pad for all the fingers? But they're kind of hot.
あ、やっぱ恥ずかしいから外そうとしてる。
No, that's not it at all.
じゃあ愛用してよね、公平。
Ugh, almost feels like I'm the one being teased
そ
now.
んなこと全然ないってば。
Really?
そうだよ。
Also, touching on that point I made a couple episodes ago about buying a nice leather jacket, buy a nice pair of leather, like, driving gloves, too. I have, like, a nice dark brown pair of driving gloves that I wear with my black pea coat when I, like, go out. And I look fucking snazzy. Fucking, I'm the best dressed guy at the Wawa. Yo, Nanase.
うん、おはよう。
Though then again, that's not a very high standard considering the Wawa I go to is either the police are there because someone tried to rob the place, or there's crackheads fighting in the parking lot.
おう、折原。今朝は早いな。
Huh? Yeah, I guess.
ちょっと最近苦しくてさ。貸してる金、返してくれない？
How much do you want?
とりあえず昼飯代ぐらいでいいから。
Sure, it's just that much. Taking my wallet, I try to pick out some change. But I can't seem to get the coins out. Damn it.
あのさ、折原。
What?
手袋外したらどうだ？
What do you think? Stylish, right? Tell me they're stylish.
その辺はよくわからないけど、教室に入ってまでしてることはないだろう。
I'm not lending you any money.
金を貸してるのはこっちだろうが。
Damn it. You're taking advantage of my weakness. In the end, I just spilled out all my change onto my palm and have Sumi take it.
あんた、暑苦しいわね。それ取りなさいよ。
No can do. They're already part of me.
あんたの勝手だから別にいいけど。
Hey, Nanase.
何よ、授業中に。
Could you open my textbook for me? Hey, come on, I'm begging you.
そんなことで迷惑かけないの。
Now you made me angry. I snatch a handful of her hair and give it a good yank. Shh. Good. With these gloves on, it just slips right through. In the end, I go through the whole class without opening my textbook.
今日は風が強いね。何してるの？
Facing into the wind, I extend my gloved hand outwards and spread them. Just so you know, I'm not trying to cause a miracle or anything.
濡れた手のひら冷ましてるんだね。そんな無理しなくていいのに。
No, it's not that either.
じゃあ何？
Well, now that you ask, it's not an easy question to answer. I think it's just my natural
そ
posture.
んなの気持ち悪い人だよ。
You think so? I think it's pretty charming.
ほら、もうよしとこうよ、そんなこと。
She removes a glove from one of my hands. But, hey! The warmth instantly vanishes from my sweat-drenched hand. Ew. I get the feeling my palm is gonna catch a cold
ポ
again.
ケットしまっておくだけでいいよ。ずっと持っていてくれるだけで私嬉しいよ。
Really?
そうだよ。
Doing as I'm told, I stowed them both in my trouser pockets.
病み上がりなんだから、こんな冷たい風当たってたらダメだよ。戻ろう。
Yeah, you're right.
でもほんと、公平ってバカ正直だよね。
It's all over for me if I have to listen to you calling me stupid.
でもいいよ、そういうところ。ずっとそのままでいてほしいよ。
Really?
そんなところも全部含めて好きなんだし、私。
I lived every one of those days wondering whether I would ever be happy again in my entire life. I think it was all because Nagamori was there for me. I thought that she would be there by my side forever. I never asked her to her face, but that was the feeling I had. She would come and yell, "Come on, wake up!" at me when I couldn't get up on my own. And each time, still half asleep, I would come up with new words to trouble and embarrass her. I thought those days would go on forever. As always, after our classes end, Nagamori is waiting for me outside in the corridor. Her cheeks relax into a smile as she sees my face. That's what's so funny. Well, I guess I'm just the same. I can't stop myself from spilling over with laughter either. We laugh like a couple still unused to being lovers. Laughing like a pair of childhood friends. Now let's go home. Passing by her side, I begin to walk on. She hurriedly lines up by my side.
すごいね。真っ赤だよ、公平。
That's because it's the sunset. Well, so are you.
そうだよね。
The way back is lit by a red sunset. Facing the light from the sinking sun, I look up into the sky. A crimson world. A world that goes on and on. I'm in that place again. That sad place. No. I know now. That's why it's sad.
悲しい。
After all that time, I didn't want some free toy which came with a caramel bar. What?
たくさん遊べるのに。
Yes. I didn't want something like that.
どうして？
That's not what it means to grow.
わからないよ。
You talking about Nagamori in this situation as that free toy? No, you don't. After all, you've remained a child this whole time. I could hear the sound of someone crying. Who was it? It wasn't me. Yes, as usual, it was Misau. Who?
お母さん。
Oh no! Fuck. That was me just scrolling up. I was double checking Nagamori's name because I'm like, isn't her name like Misuka? And I'm like, yeah, it is. So who the fuck's Misau?
どうしたのミサオ。
お兄ちゃんが蹴った。
公平、あんたまた。
Oh, we are a sister? Or possibly had? Nah, we were just playing. I was just pretending to do a flying vacuum knee kick on her.
そんなのごっこなんて言わないの。あんた前は水平チョップごっことか言って泣かしたばっかじゃないの。
Let's just pretend. Real flying vacuum knee kicks and horizontal chops are way too sharp to
バカな
copy.
理屈こねてないで謝りなさいミサオに。
Ugh, I'm sorry, Misau. It's like when you're a kid and you're fucking trying to play WWE, but you know, fucking slamming someone through the table. Doesn't matter if you're just messing around, you know. That's how someone's eventually gonna start crying and it's gonna get awkward. There, good girl, Misau.
公平、あんたが言わないの。
Actually, I don't think the reason Misau stopped crying so quickly had anything to do with her disposition. Truth was, I had always been a good big brother to her. That was what I wanted to believe. We were a single-parent household, so Misau had never known our father. Even I didn't remember more than his shadow. A moving image, but one without a clear face. That's why, embarrassing as it is for me to say this, I had always wanted for her to know the affection of a man. There was this thing called Father's Visiting Day. It was a day where fathers everywhere would come to see their children being educated. Of course, I had never received a visit from our father, but looking around at the other students, I could see their happy, if somewhat awkward expressions. Regardless of how far their hairline had receded, it seems that their children were glad they had come. But that happiness was to remain a mystery to me forever. I'd probably never have another father figure in my life again. Looking back, my only memories were of a somewhat uncomfortable lesson, held under the gaze of unfamiliar strangers. To me, each father's visiting day was no more than a repetition of that experience. But it was my constant wish for Misau to receive male affection, and I didn't want it to end for her as nothing more than a somewhat uncomfortable lesson. That's why I devised a great plan. I'll go, Misau.
お兄ちゃんって相変わらずバカだよね。
Who you calling dumb?
痛いよ、お兄ちゃん。
I played at putting the iron claw on her for a while. It was my latest favorite move.
だってお兄ちゃん大人じゃないもん。
I'll just disguise myself.
背が低すぎるよ。
I'll put empty cans under my feet.
そんな漫画みたいにうまくいかないよ。バレるよ。
Don't worry, I'll manage. You'll see.
本当？
Yeah, that's why you better start looking forward to the next father's visiting day. She made fun of my idea at first, but in the end, there was a smile on her face. I like to see Misao smile, so it made me happy too. I couldn't wait for Father's Visiting Day next month. Misao first fell sick around the time I was planning to start assembling my disguise. It seemed that it would take a little while for her to recover, so Misao ended up spending her time in a hospital bed. He's such an idiot, getting sick at a time like this. It's because you always sleep with your stomach out like that. Doesn't mean anything. I covered for you when I notice it, but even I can't fix it for you every single day.
でもお腹に落書きするのはやめてよ。前も身体検査の時笑われたよ。
I always scribbled on Misao's stomach before putting the sheets back over it, so her stomach always looks as though it was laughing, crying, or angry. If you don't like it, then you should fix your sleeping posture.
そうだね。
Brushing Misao's forelocks clear of her face for me, my gaze moved outside the window and across the nature-filled scenery of our town. Then, it was the end of autumn. Misao!
あ、お兄ちゃん。どうしたのこんな時間に。
I thought you'd be bored, so I dropped by.
大丈夫だよ。本いっぱいあるから読んでるよ。
Books? Stop pretending. There's no way these could be interesting. They're filled with nothing but words.
全然我慢なんかしてないよ。ほんと面白いんだよ。
Well, having settled that, I'm giving you this. I thrust the object I was hiding out in front of her.
何これ。
It's a chameleon.
見たらわかるけど。
Is it actually a chameleon? Or like a stuffed chameleon? Or like the plastic chameleon? Or did you just get a chameleon? It was a plastic toy with a roller attached to its belly. When you rolled it, it would stick its tongue out in and out of its mouth. Okay. Check it out. If you put it on a flat surface and press it down like this, its tongue goes in and out like this.
面白いね。でも平らなところがないよ。
What? I didn't notice until she pointed it out. From where Misao was on the bed, the table and all the other flat surfaces were beyond her reach.
でも大丈夫だよ。こうやって手のひら使えば。
Roll, roll. Hey, that's pretty smart of you, Misao. But I guess it doesn't feel as exciting that way.
そんな舌が素早くペロペロ動いたって爽快じゃないよ。
You could probably ask a nurse to just give you a
ちょうど
clipboard.
いいんだよ。
Fucking plenty of those in a hospital. Roll, roll. Yeah, I guess you're right.
お兄ちゃんありがとね。
Yeah, I couldn't stand to watch you do nothing but read those stupid books.
これで退屈しないで済むよ。
But contrary to what I had first heard, Misau's hospital life continued on indefinitely. Once, there was a big operation, and I heard afterwards that Misau's stomach was no longer her own. Fucking stomach transplant? Or are you just a dumb kid who doesn't know what actually happens? Because I don't think stomach transplants are like a normal thing. If anything, it would have been like a kidney. And around this time, our mother began to frequent a place that was somewhat different from a hospital. I didn't really know where. Whenever she did show up, she would say all kinds of things to us that we didn't understand. Then she would leave with a satisfied expression on her face. She talked about sermons, a word which I couldn't even spell. Ah, I got the wrong room!
合ってるよお兄ちゃん。
Huh? Misau, is that you?
ミサオだよ。
Misau's hair had completely disappeared. Oh! Chemo! Nice! You really gave your brother a shock there. She had already become so thin. Once you took her hair away, even I mistook her for someone else. That was how much Misau's appearance had changed. I guess you've lost weight since your stomach's gone.
そうかも。
Oh, they just fully removed it. Ugh. She rolled the chameleon toy on her palm while she spoke. With sunken eyes, she watched its tongue flicker in and out. I decided never to ask Misau whether she was uncomfortable or in pain, because I knew that if I did, she would undoubtedly just shake her head and say, nope. She didn't want me to worry about her. That was why I didn't ask. When her discomfort or pain grew too great, she would tell me herself. And when that happens, I would just have to comfort her. I would just have to cheer her up. That's what I believed. The new year arrived, with Misau spending the time in her hospital room. It was the first time I'd experienced such a quiet new year. What do you wish for this year, Misau?
もちろん元気になることだよ。それでお兄ちゃんが来てくれる父親参観日を迎えるの。
Yeah, since we couldn't do it last year.
今年こそは来てもらうよ。
That was when time began to stop. The skies I had begun to compile continued to lie there in my room, uncompleted. It was as if the only thing still changing was Misau's gaunt condition. On the occasions I went to see her, Misau would often talk about Father's visiting day. I began to firmly believe that this year would be the last. With the New Year season over, the streets were returning to their usual appearance. But the room in which Misau was staying remained forever unchanging. Misau!
お兄ちゃんまたこんな時間に。
I came because I heard you were having another operation. Are they taking something out again?
その手術はしないことになったよ。
No point. I see. That's good. I was afraid they'd just go right in there and take out even more of his stomach.
もう心配ないよ。
Just decided that, just gotta ride it out, huh? Ah, it's a real relief to hear that. Roll, roll. As we fell silent, all that could be heard is the sound of the chameleon rolling on her palm.
お母さんはどんな感じ？
Same as always.
お兄ちゃん、お母さんのことも心配してあげてね。
Yeah, okay.
じゃあ、そろそろ眠るよ。
Okay. Misao quietly closes her eyes. In her hand, she was still holding the chameleon with its tongue sticking out. The room was terribly silent. Misao? Misao? Misao! Misao! Misao!
お兄ちゃん、
Oh, just wondering whether you'd fallen asleep.
寝ちゃってたよ。どうしたの？
No, it's nothing. I'm sorry for waking you.
おやすみ。
Good night. It was yet another new month. But for us, nothing had changed. Misao's birthday came, and we held a little party in her hospital room. But in the end, it was just me singing and eating the cake by myself. Roll, roll. Roll, roll.
お姉ちゃん、
What is it?
父親さん関連にしようよ。
Today?
今日、
Where will we hold it?
ここ、
What about the other kids?
ミサオだけ。二人だけの父親参観日。ダメ？
Okay, got it. Let's do it.
よかった。
Misau gave a broad smile. I ran back home and pulled my disguise props out of the closet, carrying it in my arms back to the hospital. I pulled it on in the hospital corridor. Putting on a suit and tie, I attached cans beneath my feet. And then, the finishing touch, a beard drawn on with an oil marker. With an ear-piercing clang, I made my way towards Misao's room. I stood in front of the door and knocked. The sound of my footsteps was louder than the knock itself. Misau! I opened the door and entered the room. Misau? Misau?
お兄ちゃん。
Her mouth was smiling, but her expression was warped. No, it's me, your father. Misau wasn't gonna tell me that she was suffering. I would pretend to be calm too.
そうだね。
Okay, I'll be watching you then. I leaned back against the wall and watched Misao as she lie there on her bed. Roll, roll. The chameleon feebly extended and withdrew its tongue. All I did was watch. Roll, roll. Roll, roll. Misao?
しゃべっちゃダメだよ。お父さんはじっと見てるんだよ。
Oh, yeah, that's right. Her pained breath came out in spurts. I just stood there with my back to the wall, watching Misao suffer. It was a laughable scene. I was just standing there, as far away as possible, and watching while my sister was in pain. The chameleon stopped moving its tongue. Then, the words finally came from Misao's mouth.
苦しいよ、お兄ちゃん。
I ran. Cans under my feet got in the way, and I stumbled, but I still rushed to her side. It's okay, Misao. Your brother's here, right by your side.
痛いよ、お兄ちゃん。痛いよ。
I placed my hand over hers, still holding the chameleon. It'll be okay. Look, if I do this, the pain will go away.
お兄ちゃん。
What is it? I'm right here.
ありがとう、お兄ちゃん。
I thought that I had remained a good older brother to Misao until the very end. I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that was what final words of gratitude were for. It rained throughout the day of Misao's funeral. Maybe that was why it seemed like such a quiet funeral, as though all traces of sound and emotion had been erased. I watched the coffin containing her body with cold eyes. Her mother never did show up. The pain at having become all alone was one that cut deep. And having become alone, every time I saw that toy chameleon that Misao would always roll in her palm, like a floodgate opening, the tears would pour from my eyes. And all this time, I had lived without knowing of the sadness that lay in wait. I thought that I would always be able to be together with Misao, that Misao would always call me Oni-chan, and that she would always play with this toy chameleon. Never again would I be able to feel the happiness that came from seeing her smile. Anything that existed is eventually lost. And when the time came for that loss, I felt such great sadness. It was as though I lived only to face sadness. And if living means having to face such sadness, then I would rather stay here. Here, where I can always be together with Misao. I could hear the sound of someone crying. Who was it? It wasn't me. Yes, as usual, it was Misao. Sorry, Misau. I stroked her on the head as if to say, there. You're a good girl, Misau. I want to stay forever in that time when I was happy. That's all. From that day onward, I was always crying. It was as if my life was lived in between bouts of crying. I left the town where Misau and I had lived to be placed in the care of my aunt. It was a town with beautiful greenery enveloped in the April sunshine, but even so, my tears didn't dry up. It was strange just how many tears I could continue to shed.
泣いてるの？
She had been the first person in this new town to find me while I was crying. And on clear days, clouded days, and days when the rain came sprinkling down, she'd be there beside me while I cried.
いつになったら遊べるのかな？
Every day, she would find me as I was crying and speak to me. I never opened my mouth, and when I did, it was only to let loose a sob. I was not just an empty existence, a corpse. But even so, she continued to stay there beside me. Just, what it was that, just what, oh, let me look at that sentence. This white background is like searing my eyes and makes it difficult for me to focus. Just what it was that girl was waiting for, I didn't know. There we go. Just what it was that girl was waiting for, I didn't know. That's that sentence. What is it you're waiting for? I spoke to her for the first time.
君が泣き止むの。一緒に遊びたいから。
I won't stop crying. I'll keep crying for the rest of my life.
どうして？
Something sad happened to me. I thought that the happy days would continue on forever. But there is no such thing as eternity. I didn't think that way, I didn't think that the way I felt could be expressed in words. But she
永
replied.
遠はあるよ。
Suddenly, my cheeks were between her hands.
ずっと私が一緒にいてあげるよ。
So saying, she placed her lips lightly against mine. A pledge of eternity. It was a pledge of eternity. After all that time, I didn't want some free toy which came with a caramel bar. I didn't want something like
ど
that.
うして？
That's what it means to grow up.
わからないよ。
No, you don't. After all, you've remained a child this whole time. Misuka. A long time has passed. I met many different people and lived many different days. I've stopped crying all the time and grown strong. In the 4 months before my disappearance, I fought it by meeting all sorts of new people. A girl who dreamed of being a lady, but kept meeting with failure. Okay, yeah, I read that right the first time. Senior who had lost her sight, but not her smile. Classmate who was waiting for something with all her heart. First year who tried her utmost to convey her feelings, even without words. And you, who was there beside me throughout it all. 4 months which had passed in the blink of an eye. 4 months in which I was happy.
滅びに向かって進んでいるのに。
No, because of it. Only that is what makes it so sad. And the fact that the path which leads towards destruction is what makes all those moments irreplaceable. I didn't want an eternity like this anymore. That's why back then, I sought out those bonds. Izuka! Without thinking, I yell out Nagamori's name. She stares at my face with expressionless eyes. Mizuka? My throat feels dry and my saliva coils uncomfortably around the back of my tongue. Hey, Mizuka!
どうしたの？公平。
No, I understand now. My existence is fading. That's what was causing that feeling of uneasiness.
何怖い顔してるんだよ。
She smiles as she looks at me, as if trying to smooth things over. Where is it that I'm about to go? I feel an unerring premonition. Soon, I'll be leaving this place and heading for somewhere else. Towards the sky. A place where no one can reach me, no matter how far they reach or how much they struggle. A place where time doesn't pass. A place from where it's nowhere to go. Eternity. The word that connects everything. Beyond the sky lies the place of eternity. The world I had sought on that day. My world had begun then, and now it's drawing to a conclusion there. That's where I'm about to go.
浩平、お湯出しといたから寝癖直すんだよ。
Bro, you need to go see a therapist. Like, you need professional help, my guy. You are not okay. I can hear Nagamori's voice coming from the bathroom. Okay, just let me have a bite of breakfast first. Scratching my hair, I walk to the kitchen. There's no breakfast there. Not just once, but 2 days in a row. Looking in the sink, I see just enough cutlery for one person soaking in the water. There's no question about it. He's belonging to Yukiko-san. She had eaten her own breakfast and left. Maybe we've just had a misunderstanding? I haven't been seeing her lately, and it's strange for such a large change to occur into what is a daily routine. I'll just have to see her and speak with her. See her and ask her why she stopped making breakfast for me. Might be a surprisingly simple reason behind all this. It's about time you became independent. That certainly sounds like something she'd say. After all, she's an independent woman. Maybe she's telling me that it's about time I start looking after myself. Still, if that's the case, she could have at least left me a note.
ほら、浩平、時間ないよ。
Yeah, it's Nagamori's voice again. Okay, I'm coming. Feeling that I'm rapidly disappearing. I see it now. It says, as if in a dream of things long past. Things long past. Playful words from a day in my youth. I think I'm gonna stop it here for today, guys. One, because I need to do some editing. Two, I need to eat. And three, I'm getting tired. And this total fucking whiplash from last episode to the first part of this episode to the fucking later part of this episode. It's like, wow, my fucking neck is broken. I have multiple concussions, metaphorically speaking, and just brain overload. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all next time, where hopefully this has marinated in my noggin for a bit, and I'm more coherent with my thoughts. I hope to see you all then. Later.